February 28, 2026, the world watched as Operation Epic Fury lit up the night sky over Tehran. For many, it felt like a repeat of history, an echo of the 1991 Gulf War or the 2003 invasion of Iraq. On paper, the matchup is absurd. The United States possesses a military budget nearly 100 times larger than Iran's, a fleet of 11 nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, and the most advanced stealth technology in human history. But war is not a spreadsheet. As the smoke clears over the Zagros Mountains, a sobering reality is setting in among Pentagon planners. This is not the desert of Iraq. This is not the flat plains of Kuwait. This is a conflict against a nation that has spent 40 years preparing for this exact moment. Today, we're looking past the propaganda to analyze the 10 shocking strategic reasons why, despite its overwhelming firepower, the United States and Israel might actually lose its war against Iran. Reason number 1, the geography of the jugular. If you look at a map of the Persian Gulf, you'll see a tiny hook at the entrance. This is the Strait of Hormuz. At its narrowest, it's only 21 miles wide. Through this tiny needle's eye passes 20% of the world's petroleum, and nearly a third of its liquefied natural gas. Iran doesn't need to defeat the US Navy in a mid-ocean battle. They only need to sink a few large tankers, or deploy their vast arsenal of smart mines in these shallow waters. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. Global oil prices don't just rise, they explode. We're talking about $300 a barrel or more. The loss here isn't a military one on the battlefield. It's the total collapse of the global economy, forcing the US to the negotiating table out of domestic necessity. Reason number 2, the WASP Navy. The US Navy is built around the carrier strike group, massive, multi-billion-dollar islands of steel. Iran knows it can't build a carrier, so it built thousands of WASPs. These are small, incredibly fast attack boats equipped with Chinese-designed anti-ship missiles and high-speed torpedoes. In a confined space like the Persian Gulf, these boats use swarm tactics. Imagine a single US destroyer, equipped with the world's best radar, suddenly facing 100 speedboats coming from every direction at 50 knots. Even if the destroyer hits 90 of them, the remaining 10 are enough to cripple a billion-dollar ship. It is the ultimate expression of asymmetric warfare, high volume, low-cost lethality. Reason number 3, the economic war of attrition. This is perhaps the most shocking realization of modern warfare. In the skies over the Middle East, we are seeing a math war. Iran and its proxies utilize one-way attack drones, like the Shahid series. These drones are essentially lawnmower engines attached to wings and explosives. They cost about $20,000 to make. To stop them, the US and its allies must use interceptor missiles, like the RIM-162, which can cost over $2 million per shot. If Iran launches 100 drones a day, the US is spending $200 million a day just to stay even. Over a year-long conflict, Iran can effectively bankrupt the defensive magazines of a carrier strike group. You can win every dogfight and still lose the war because you ran out of expensive bullets before the enemy ran out of cheap targets. Reason number 4, the axis of resistance. Iran does not fight alone. Over 40 years, the IRGC's Quds Force has built a ring of fire around the Middle East. If the US strikes the Iranian mainland, it triggers a regional auto-response. Hezbollah in Lebanon has over 150,000 rockets aimed at America's closest allies. The Houthis in Yemen have proven they can disrupt global shipping in the Red Sea at will. Militias in Iraq and Syria are positioned within mortar range of US bases. This forces the US to fight a 5-front war. Every time the US tries to focus on Tehran, a new fire breaks out in Baghdad, Beirut, or Sana'a, stretching American logistics to the breaking point. Reason number 5, the fortress of the Zagros. Military enthusiasts often compare Iran to Iraq, but geographically they couldn't be more different. Iraq is largely a flat, open desert, perfect for American tanks and air power to see and destroy everything. Iran is a fortress. It is nearly 3 times the size of France, and its heartland is protected by the Zagros and Alborz mountain ranges. These peaks reach over 12,000 feet. This terrain is a nightmare for an invader. It provides endless cover for mobile missile launchers and makes a ground invasion, the only way to truly win a war, logistically impossible. It would require a force of millions of soldiers, a commitment the American public has no appetite for. Reason number 6, the underground missile cities. Even if the US achieves total air superiority, it may never achieve missile supremacy. Iran has spent decades digging, Deep beneath the mountains, they have built missile cities, vast networks of hardened tunnels where thousands of ballistic missiles are stored on rail systems. These facilities are so deep that conventional bunker-buster bombs can't reach them. Iran can roll a missile out of a hidden mountain cave, launch it, and roll the launcher back into the mountain before a satellite can even track the heat signature. This second strike capability means that as long as the mountains stand, the US homeland and bases remain under threat, no matter how many airstrikes are conducted. Reason number 7, the invisible front. In 2026, the battlefield isn't just in the Persian Gulf, it's in your living room. Iran is considered one of the top 4 cyber powers in the world. In a total war scenario, Iran doesn't have to sink a ship to hurt America. They can target soft, civilian infrastructure, knocking out power grids in the dead of winter, disrupting water treatment plants, or freezing financial transactions at major banks. The psychological toll of having the war come to Main Street, the USA, through a smartphone or a blacked-out city grid would create immense political pressure to end the conflict immediately, regardless of the military situation on the ground. Reason number 8. The day after vacuum. Let's assume the US military successfully wins and topples the government in Tehran. Then what? Unlike other nations, there is no unified government in waiting for Iran. The country is home to 85 million people. If the central government collapses, you are looking at the largest failed state in history. The ensuing insurgency would make post-2003 Iraq look like a minor skirmish, without a clear path to a stable pro-Western successor. A victory for the US military would actually be a strategic catastrophe for US foreign policy, leading to decades of chaos that would drain American resources indefinitely. Finally, we come to our last 2 reasons. Reason number 9, the global shadow. In 2026, Iran is no longer isolated. Its strategic partnership with Russia and China has reached a new level. While Moscow and Beijing might not fire a shot, they can provide Iran with real-time satellite intelligence, advanced electronic warfare equipment to jam US drones, and economic lifelines that keep the Iranian economy breathing despite sanctions. And reason number 10, the survival trap. For the Iranian leadership, this isn't a limited engagement, it is an existential fight for survival. This triggers a rally around the flag effect. Even Iranians who are critical of their government often become fiercely nationalistic when their soil is invaded. History has shown that a motivated defender fighting for their home will almost always outlast a superpower fighting for interests. The shocking reality is that in 2026, war is no longer about who has the biggest hammer. It's about who has the most resilient system. Operation Epic Fury might have started with a bang, but as these 10 reasons show, the path to victory is a narrow, dangerous, and perhaps impossible one. If you found this strategic breakdown valuable, hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the conflicts shaping our world. What do you think is the biggest threat to the US operations in the Gulf? Let us know in the comments below.